Okay, so in this video we're going to do some hard surface modeling. We're going to do a flashbang grenade. So on my other screen I've got this open and just some images, and we're going to drag this image in first thing. So let's snap into the x-axis here and just drag in our reference, and make sure when we select our reference, if you're using a later version of Blender, that we have perspective enabled so we can see it, because without that on it's totally invisible, and that got me. So I'm just going to drag that back, and yep, perfect. I'm going to drag this across so I can line it up, and something like that should do it. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to make a mesh, and I'm going to make a cylinder. I'm going to go into the cylinder properties and I'm going to give it 6 sides, and let's go into X-ray mode there, and let's just kind of change the radius so it lines up a lot nicer with what we're doing here. So let's go like that, and that looks pretty bang on to me. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to select only this face, and I'm going to press Ctrl I and delete. Then I'm going to come in edit mode. I'm going to press Ctrl R, and I'm going to add, it doesn't really matter here, let's just say 4 edges there, and if we're going to this, let's just kind of line them up a little nicer. So I'm not, for time's sake, I'm not going to make this absolutely perfect, because I'm making this for you and I don't want it to last a lifetime. So you can maybe line yours up a little nicer than mine. So I'm just making this little end shape here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to Alt select that top edge, and then I'm going to press E and align it on the X. In fact, no, let's wait till I do that. First I will use an array, and I will set it to object offset, and I'm going to press Shift A, and I'm going to make sure I'm not in edit mode. I'm going to go and create an empty plane axes, and then I'm going to come back to my object and I'm going to select this empty object. Now if I just select this object here, I'm going to press Shift X, cursor to selected, and then I'm going to press Shift S. I'm going to put selection to cursor. So now everything's all aligned there. And now if I rotate my plane axes 60 on the X, we will get this shape. And now if I change the count of the array to 6, I will have all of these connected back up. And then I'm just going to go merge and make sure first and last copies are enabled there, and I'm going to hit Control A on that to apply it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this. I'm going to press I'm just alt clicking, by the way, there, and I'm going to press E, and I'm going to come into edit, and I'm going to go loop tools and then go circle. Now what that does is it creates it into a circle. If you do not have that and didn't set it up earlier, we want to go into the edit preferences, and then this is a little different in the later version, but we just put loop in here and get extensions and install or add-ons loop, and then just tick it on there, and then that should pop up here for you. So that again, so if I just press E and make that larger and then press circle, it will make that into a circle, and then I can just scale that down. And then if I go in here, we can see, okay, we actually want it more like that, maybe even a little more like that. And then I'm going to press F to fill that, and then select the bottom one, F to fill it, and yeah, that's looking pretty good. Now when I have a look at some of these flashbangs on here, we can see that there's like this nice indent on the top, and I kind of prefer that one, so I'm going to go with that indent. So I'm going to press I, make a little rim, and then I again, and then I'm going to press Control to make it go down further. Just make that, I've got this kind of ridge there, and then I'll do the same here. So I again, and then hold Control to make it go in. Right, so if I now auto smooth that, we kind of have a pretty solid shape. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to give it a bevel, and I'm going to give it 2 segments. I'm going to make the segments quite small, so let's give it 0.005. Yeah, looks good enough for me. And then after the bevel, I'm going to hit it with a subdivision surface modifier, and I'll give it 2 levels of that. And we've got like quite a crisp, so I don't know if we can maybe drop that down to 2. That's too tight. Let's see what happens if I put it back up to 1. Yeah, let's do that. You don't want it to be too tight, or otherwise the normal map doesn't look great. Okay, so we've got that top little section. The next thing to do for this is to, if we press Shift S and we do cursor to world origin, and then if I do object, set origin to 3D cursor, or you can right click, set origin to 3D cursor, whatever, or set origin, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so now I'm going to go in and add a mirror modifier, and let's make that on the Z axis, and it's pretty solid there. It's a little bit further down on that. I'll let you alter that on yours. We've still got a fair ways to go here. So let's make this circle thing here, and this is, we're going to we're going to exit edit mode, and then make a new cylinder, and make this cylinder 24 edges wide, and it's 24 edges wide because that's a derivative of 6, right? So there's 4 6s are 24. Let me just just get these a little nice. Let's offset it a little bit. That'll do. Right, so 4 6s is 24. Cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to select 4 of these edges. I'm going to press Control I, and then delete the rest of those faces. And then I'll come in, add 3 edge loops with Control R, and if I just move my cursor to this selected vertex here, we can then come in and add in another object to do a boolean. So let's exit out of edit mode, so we're in object mode, add a cylinder. Let's make that cylinder 8 vertices. We'll bring in the radius to be quite small. We'll rotate it 90 on the X, 90 on the Z, I think. Yeah, that works. And that looks like it's roughly the right size. Maybe a little smaller. Yeah, that looks fine. Right. So now we've got these two objects. Let's select this one first and then select the object we want to remove from, and we'll go edit boolean. Like, again, if you haven't got that, I want you to go edit preferences, come in here and go bool and add on the bool tool add-on. So make sure that we select that second, and let's do an auto boolean difference, and that will take that one from there. The next thing that we want to do is tidy this up. So let's select this, we'll select that in a second. So select this one last, press M at last, and we'll do that a couple of times. So I'm just shift clicking, M at last. And what we can do here is we can get rid of this and this. Control. Okay, maybe we can't. We'll select all of them. At last, we'll do that. At last. And by doing this, we are making this a 1, 2, 3, 4-sided shape. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is now all quadded. So, because we took 4 sides of a 24-sided shape, what we can do is, again, we can use this array method to create a circular array. So let's select our object here. We'll press Shift S, selection to cursor, and then we'll select this empty object here. We'll press Shift S and we'll do selection to cursor. And now note that our rotation on this object is still 60. So when we come in here and add an array modifier and say we want it not on the relative axis but on the object axis, and we'll add that as our empty, we can see that automatically we get the nice rotation again. So I'm going to hit merge and make sure we do merge first and last, and that should all merge together quite nicely. So I'm going to apply that array here and hit, go into edit mode, and I'm just going to extrude at the top, extrude at the bottom, something like that, and then come in and add a subdivision surface here. And if I up to, oh, we've got an error in here. So what's the error? Let's have a look. Why is that happening? So let's go in. Oh, just like that one. There's M, merge distance, and try that again. Right, we have a nicer thing. So we have a bit of an issue here with the bulging of these, unfortunately. But we'll see if that goes away when we move these edges a little bit closer. So what I want these to do is I want these to align, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of these. Oh, I should have done this when it was just one, and then I wouldn't have to do it 6 times. Okay, so I'm going to deselect this, deselect that. I'm going to press E, and then I'm going to right click, and I'm going to press S. But before I do, if I do it like this, it will all go to the pivot point, right? So what I want to do is I want to do individual origins and then scale it down a little bit. Now we have a little issue here. Now should I fix it? It'll take a little while. What we could do to get rid of this is if I just come out here, we'll turn this off. What we could do is we could cut this up here and do that, and then cut one across there, and have all that extra geometry. But for this tutorial, I'm not going to bother, as I think it would be too much to take in at once. So right now I will take this and we can scale it down to match, because at the moment we've got a bit of a disconnect. So select all that, and then just making sure that I'm in X-ray mode. I'm doing this, and again I'm going to select all of these bits, and because I'm on individual origins I can scale. Oh no, okay. Oh, right. I'll just select each one of these guys here, and then not the ones in between, because if I connect the ones in between it won't work. And then if I just scale that up. Okay. Now what I'm going to do next is I will move this up here. And I will make an array, and this time I will keep it on relative, and I'll do it -1 on the Z, and we'll do 3 there, and we want to merge them all. Merge first and last, it doesn't really matter here, but we'll do it anyway. And you'll see we have an issue which we will fix. But first what I'm going to just move this down a little, move that up. Yeah, nice. That might be too much. Just a tiny bit, I think. Yeah, nice. Okay, so we kind of got this bulging here from when we scaled up these circles. So let me go out of subdiv mode, and I'm just shift alt clicking all of these edges to get these holes, and I'm going to press Ctrl and plus to expand my selection, and then go to median point here and just turn subdivision back on, and let's scale that down so we don't have that really obvious bulging. This is not a perfect solution, but it will work for now. So right click auto smooth, that works. I'm going to add in another level of subdivision. I'm not really happy with how this cylinder worked out. I wouldn't make it as simple as this. I would add more edges if I was to do this again. This is too simple. We're having an error, and this is probably a good learning opportunity to add more information in, because subdivision causes these issues. So okay, let's add in a solidify modifier, and let's come in here and let's change the thickness to something a little bit thicker. Yeah, nice. And let's take this and we can inset it. Then we'll have this here, so we're making this, so extrude, inset again, extrude all the way through, make sure our mirror has bisect on. Right, we've got that at center. So next we just really got this top section, so I'm going to select this top edge here, and I'm going to press Shift D and Z, and then right click. So we've made an extra edge, extra face here, and I'm going to press P to separate this object, and by selection, and then we don't need the mirror, so we can remove the mirror. We want to just be on the individual origin. Let's select that and now scale it in, so we're not scaling it on the object level. We can press S, Shift S, cust selection, go into object mode, right click, set origin to 3D cursor, that way. And here what I'm going to do is just extrude this out a little bit, and let's have a look at this on the image here. It depends on the one. I kind of like this one here. It's got a nice, if we have a look at this section here, we have a dent in, come out, and then it goes in and it connects with a solid block there. So let's do that as fast as possible. So if I just move that down, we'll go E, I'll scale it in, back up, scale it back out. And then on our image, you can see it kind of tapers up there, so let's make that. And let's taper that in, something like this. So now what we want to do is we want to have this, let's make the taper more, let's bring it in a bit more like this. So that looks good, so that's in line with this, something like that. And then what we can do is we can select this and select that and then press J, and select this and then select that and press J, and then come in and delete all the way around to here. Oh, try to here. I'm control clicking to go from one side to the other. So if I select here, then control click to there, it will go up to there. So let's select that and delete all those faces out there. And then we can extrude up SZ0 to flatten it off. And for here to here, I'm control clicking again. I'm just going to extrude along the Y axis, and I'll control click again across. And if I select from here to here, SY0, and I can take all these, and I'm just going to press Control X for now and delete them out, and we'll worry about these edge loops in a second. So I'm going to move that up and move that in. Don't forget to do X-ray like me, and another loop across. And here, let's get the front force, or the 4 at the front, maybe make it 6, and I will extrude that out. SZ, make it a bit smaller, make it go up a bit, something like this. If I turn subdivision on now, I'll get a bit of a weird thing here because it doesn't know what to do. Maybe if I put that on top, it might sort it. It does. We're lucky there. So kind of got this shape here, and for this, what I would probably do is I would select here to here, SY0 to flatten it all off. I'm going to press Shift S, selection to cursor. We'll come in, we can add in a cylinder, make it 16. It doesn't have to be very many because it's going to have a small radius, so the smaller the radius, the less sides you need. 90, or is it on the Z? Yeah, okay. Something like that. Yeah, cool. And let's see if what this looks like. So this has 2 little hooks under, and then it goes round like that. So let's make that here. I'll select this face here, press Shift S, selection to cursor, and I'm going to make a plane. I'm going to do that out of edit mode, so it's its own object, and scale that down, and let's add a couple of edges in here. I'm just going to do one side of it. SX, change it to medium point, SX, scale that out. Yeah, and then when we're in here, it's a bit hard to see because of all the stuff, but I've got an edge selected just here, right? And then I'm going to press E I'm just going to hook that under. Just E, something like that. It doesn't have to be perfect. Move that back on the Y. Let's see where it is. And then we'll just move it down. Something like that. This is where we have a look at loads of flashbang grips, but for the time that we have, I'll let you do that. So at the bottom here, just move this up, move that up, something like this. And it looks like there's kind of some indent here, so we could also add this in. Just bevel that out by pressing Ctrl B, and we'll add in a loop here, and I don't know, we'll inset that and move it in. It's all a bit close, so I'll just move all that out. We then have to make this bit that covers the side, so this side bit that the pin holds. So let's just have a quick look at this again. It comes over and around like that, and that bit comes down and round. So this bit here comes over like this. Now I don't want this to last for hours and hours, so I'm going to make this a bit simpler than I might do if I was doing this for my own portfolio piece. So let's just say so. Just like that. And then we can go and add the solidify modifier again, which adds thickness to flat objects. And I don't like this here, so if this was me, I would go in and I would change that. I'm going to add a mirror modifier here, and let's add a bevel modifier in. And if I just press Ctrl 1 as well, let's see how that handles the shape, and just maybe add another one. We'll auto smooth, and we'll see we have an issue with this shape here. And if I take that off, let's see why. Let's add in another level on our bevel. Let's see if this helps. It might not, probably won't, because of the way that this tapers out. So it's because this is then a massive n-gon. Which is a big issue. Let's bisect on here. Now, we might be able to get a nicer, a nice subdivision with this if we went in and made all of the custom edges ourselves. So rather than having a bevel here, we could go in and say, okay, like come in, add this here, come in, add this there. But for the time that it's going to take me to do that, I'm just going to have the shading issues here. I am going to, however, going to bring these out and add in an edge loop here and an edge loop there, which will smooth it out to be a bit of a nicer shape. Now, if you want that ring pull and all that sort of stuff, you're going to have to add in a boolean and use something like extra shapes. Or like if we come in here, go file, edit, preferences, and then we go extra curve objects. We can come in and we can go file, add curve, add a spiral. I think it's Archimedes, and then radius down, rotation would be 90, 90, and then height of 0.1. Let's do 0.05. Okay. Let's go 0.01. That's too little. 2. Maybe 3. Let's go 3. Okay, so it's got a height of 0.03. So if we go into our spiral here, we can go to the geometry and add the bevel depth of 0.15, which is half. 0.015. Yeah, which is half of the radius. Sorry, the height, right? And then we just fill caps there, and oh, that's pretty good. So then add that there, and then add in your ring pull. So it would be a case of adding some kind of object that would pop through. So X90. scale that down, and you know, something along those lines. Press, go into object mode, press Control A, apply that scale. So there we have it. There we have our object. Don't like how far apart they are, so I'm going to scale that in. I think this could do a little bit of love here. And just beveling those, maybe just make them a little bit closer. I thought that was mirrored. There we go. Right, cool. So that's totally finished. That's how I would go about doing this. I would probably do a couple of other things here. If it was mine and I had all the time in the world, I'd definitely clean up this back bit, as I'm not truly happy with how that's turned out, but I think that's okay. Yeah, I think overall it looks quite nice. And I think Blender's just broken on me, so this is probably a good time to end it. Oh no, there we go. It's just that issue. Things that I would change if I was to do it again, I would give this area more geometry. Here, I don't know whether I should do it. So yeah, if come in here, so what I might do here is go G, make sure that you've got your snapping on, so that's snap to there, snap in there, so there is another way of doing this, by the way, rather than pressing M each time, which is to use auto merge and just snap stuff. So select all that, press merge, merge by distance, just make sure we've got all of them, and then I'm going to press E, then right click, then scale it down. So we've got something like this, and then do a quick array by object. So let's Shift S, cursor selected, select this, Shift S, selection to cursor, Control A, scale, let's see if having this format is a lot nicer. I think it will be. And then just merge, subdivision surface. And solidify by whatever thickness. So we can see that now if I just move, let me just apply this array, and then we'll move that up to the top, and then let's do another array on that. Yep. Okay, cool. Right, so yeah, I would do something like that, and let me just make sure these are all merged again, so they don't have that issue there. But if we just rename this middle 2, if we have a look at the difference between this one and this one, and we check out the topology, this one is more efficient and is great, but because there isn't enough geometry for the subdivision to work correctly, you get this like lumpy end result. Whereas this one, we get quite a nice one. So yeah, I mean, like even me doing these tutorials, I still make these kind of errors, and if the problem is if you haven't done this and made this error before and you don't know why you are having these issues and how to go about fixing it, it can be a bit confusing. However, just try stuff out. Just keep on trying. Check out stuff like Polycount and forums and ask in forums, because there are so many people out there that are really willing to give you the help. So that's it for this tutorial. Let me just move this back in here, because I think that looks pretty sweet. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys make.